Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News, and with the major update yesterday that the Envy team is going to get rebranded to OpTic. Loads of feedback as a result of this one from the professional scene, but also FNS with a few words to say on North American practice at the present time. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as well. I'd really appreciate it. Loads of great support these last couple of days. Firstly, some roster things to mention. Heretics, they're picking up Poppy Fresh. They bring out Jake into the team as well right here, so of course this is the new roster they're going forwards with. VALORANT, of course, went the other day. Mouse have picked up a new team. Just chaos right now happening in the roster fronts, pretty much in all regions. I'm sure that the North American teams as well, after the Challengers qualifying number 2, that a lot of them failed through, also be considering what they're planning to do, because a lot of them have many months off, really, until the next chance they have to qualify back into the VCT. One team that did make it in, of course, was the Pittsburgh Knights. They, of course, are actually looking very promising. They lost to XSET in the grand finals of that NSG Winter Classic, or whatever it was called, tourney that we looked at yesterday. Slow is coming in as their analyst. That's pretty cool. And well, of course, looking to bolster their roster, I suppose, going into the VCT, because plenty of upsets may be on the cards here. And of course, everything kicks off today. The Challengers stuff for North America and Europe as well. We'll have a look at the fixtures here towards the end of the video, but plenty to dive in before we get to that point, because OpTic and Envy, they of course merged back in, I believe it was early November, not sure when it was officially confirmed, but if you guys have been familiar with how things have been going behind the scenes, this has obviously been in the works for quite some time. OpTic and Envy come together, and the Envy organization, the roster itself that of course they had in Valorant, it was a question whether it was going to be rebranded to OpTic, kind of what they did with the Halo team. And of course it does finally happen right here just on the turn of the season. And I mean, this was leaked all over the shop, right? Because not only was it on their website that we looked at yesterday, but even FNS was spotted right here on someone's stream as OpTic FNS. And then we even saw this, right? Actually, the VCT themselves leaked it, because on their broadcast it said that it was going to be OpTic versus Rise. They then changed it back to Envy right here, like a couple of hours later, but people already noticed it to the point where it was basically already getting confirmed. So it was leaked all across the park, this one, and well, they do finally confirm it. This actually was noticed specifically for Bodog right here. Rise versus OpTic Gaming was spotted on the schedule. They then changed it back, and then it's back to OpTic again. Now it has officially been confirmed. This is what they come out with. I thought this is kind of funny, really. Not sure why they even needed the video right here. Like, it is literally just a picture of the team with Hex in the middle, and of course, on the left-hand side of the rest of the guys. But I don't even know why this is a video, right? They do kind of like a flash in the middle. Like, if you're going to do this, you could do some sort of announcement video, I suppose. I don't really know. Still, it got a lot of traction on Twitter. OpTic, massive brand in esports in general, like one of the biggest names. But like, if you guys have followed how OpTic's really gone the last couple of years, it's been a difficult time for Hector and OpTic since maybe 2017 time, really, when he sold out to Infinite Esports. They sold the entire organization on, and that didn't really work out. He then went to join NRG and kind of did his own thing over there. Then he was able to buy the OpTic brand back because it went over to Immortals. Then he bought it back from them, kind of with the help of NRG to some degree. And then he separated recently from NRG with the intention of running OpTic kind of himself, but the funding wasn't really going to be there. He needed another organization to come through and help on the funding front, and well, teaming up with Envy seemed to make perfect sense. Hastra and Hector, they go way back, of course, on the Call of Duty side. The real biggest impact of this was in the Call of Duty front. Both OpTic and Envy both had teams effectively in the league. They had to merge the teams together and the rosters together, which is kind of crazy. Of course, in Valorant and other esports, that question has been remaining. What are they going to do with these rosters? Now, look, at the end of the day, this was considered a merger, at least by the guys themselves that speak on this publicly, but to my perspective, it's basically been an acquisition. Like, Envy has effectively acquired the OpTic brand. So Envy, I think, might be making a relatively smart move here, that they know OpTic's kind of bigger brand in terms of FPS esports especially. We know the OpTic CSGO team still carries a lot of weight, really, in that kind of the memory of esports fans in general, and of course, their Halo team, their Gears of War team was fantastic. The Call of Duty team has really been the only esport they've been really involved in for the last couple of years, until Halo's finally come along, and now they're going to rebrand the Envy roster. So, don't know what you guys think about this, right? Because OpTic, of course, can be a little bit of a controversial organization at times. A lot of people really like the Envy branding. If you guys are Envy fans, like, where does that kind of leave you thinking, right? Because now you're OpTic all of a sudden, and I think a lot of fans of the Envy team in Call of Duty that was the Dallas Empire, like, kind of had to adjust to the fact that they're now going to be under the OpTic brand. It was a strange transition, really, and it's happened in Valorant pretty much overnight, which I do think is still a smart move for these players and for the organization in general, and selling merchandise, all this type of stuff, and being top of mind. And it also means that we get great content for these guys, because the personalities of the Envy guys generally don't really come to the forefront, because Envy doesn't necessarily do the content stuff quite as well as the OpTic guys do, which I think we really saw right here. Dashi was even saying for the OpTic team, he's been playing a lot of Valorant in the Call of Duty side. He's officially the sixth man, but well, we'll see if they ever need him at some point or another. So, FNS and the guys, they went on the OpTic podcast yesterday, and it was really great to hear these guys' perspective, because really when they were on Envy, didn't really hear all that much of their personalities. It seems to me historically, it's probably not intentional, but it just feels to me that a lot of the players on the Envy brand in general have just been very boring players, but they're probably not actually boring. They're just like, they just don't really get the chance on Envy to show their personalities, right? And OpTic have done that a great job right here. So FNS and Victor go on the podcast yesterday, and I mean, yeah, FNS, honestly, the anecdotes he was telling, really funny series. I'll link the entire thing down below if you guys want to check it out. But well, he has a few words to say really on North American practice, and the fact that right now it's actually maybe not quite as bad as it was, but there's some players that really aren't taking things serious. And yes, some teams like TSM and Sentinels catch a bit of flack for streaming a lot, but like, you can't really blame them. But he does reckon that some of these teams in practice maybe aren't playing the best all the time.
And a Valorant mentality, a lot of people are just looking for content. What do you guys think?
I think this is a content game. This game is too easy.
It's a big.
I'm just playing, guys.
It's a big. I mean, it's a big content game. Like, there's opportunity.
I mean, I can see why he says that. It's because a lot of teams that get knocked out, they just don't have anything to do.
It's situational, right?
Yeah, so they just stream.
Like,
just
what are you gonna do if you're
streaming.
like, for example, TSM, right? They have players that have huge streams. If you lose an event, of course you're gonna go for content. And now I think the team that gets the most flack is Sentinels, because ShahZaM streams a lot. They have TenZ, who's like the face of the game basically. Of course he's gonna stream. And so because they prioritize streaming, and sometimes it feels like it's over, like they're prioritizing over practice, people go in and there's like, wow, Sentinels doesn't practice, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like, you have to, their shoes, these guys, this is like their livelihoods. They can't just kill their streams. But I think NA could do a better job in practice servers, like in scrims.
At least go hard.
Yeah, like
at least try to make
when
the whole
they do
region
scrims,
better
sometimes I do play scrims and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I literally could have matched.
Yeah, they don't give a.
But lately though, I have to say lately it's been rare. It's been very rare that I feel that way.
Who did you feel that way about?
I'm not saying names.
You can't expose
Dude, the name popped up in my head and I couldn't say it. But I usually like in a scrim, this guy will make a play and I'm just like, bro, what is this you're doing? You will never do this in a match. And like, all of a sudden, this kid has a vendetta versus me.
I know who that is actually.
So there's a player that he was trying out for a team, and he was playing a character Sova. Sova isn't supposed to run in first. This kid's playing Sova. This kid's playing literally Sova like he's Reyna. He's like walking through my smokes and scrims.
Just eat out.
And I'm like, what? But this time, I don't even care how he's playing. I don't understand what he is even doing.
Yeah, like you're like, wait a
His
second.
teammates are messaging me going, this kid is actually brain dead. His own teammates.
Also, in terms of content, thought this was pretty good from 100 Thieves. They came up with a nice little house tour video right here with their new roster going into the new season. And this was also noted, right? Because of course, OpTic with Crashies and those guys playing on OpTic right now, played up against 100 Thieves yesterday, bit of a scrim going on, and 100 Thieves actually were beating them right here 12-8. So a little bit of scrim bucks for you guys. This also to mention as well, because I mean, this looks absolutely terribly ugly, but this is the best I could do. It was noted in that video that this is the composition that it seems like the 100 Thieves guys are running on Ascent. Now, well, you can actually see it's kind of interesting right here. You've got the Sova, you've got Chamber that I believe Asuna is using. So for some reason, not going with a duelist meta right here, going for Chamber instead. They've got Skye, they've got Astra, they've got Killjoy. But I did think quite an interesting composition really here for Ascent from the 100 Thieves guys. So, well, I guess we'll keep our eyes tuned for that one to see how this develops going forward, right? Because I imagine 100 Thieves probably is a team that's going to pull out some interesting metas in terms of their compositions, and Chamber being used on this level I thought was pretty interesting. So we will see how that one goes most certainly. This also from Ye right now officially joining the OpTic organization. It was, of course, the Envy team with, FNS, Ye, Victor, Crashies, Marvs. I didn't go through the entire thing. Chet there as well, of course, as the coach. And yes, Ye, OpTic got me into esports. Glad to be represented in that. I'm sure a lot of you guys maybe have been around esports for many years, especially started off on the console front like I did. Definitely, OpTic was kind of top of mind back in the day, and I feel in a similar boat to Ye, really. So cool to see these guys, I think, back involved in Valorant. Of course, the organization in general, the team is exactly the same. But let's dive into this then, right? So today, the matches begin for the VCT Challengers. This is the North American front. A couple of you guys pointed out to me, thanks very much for doing that actually in North America, it's 8 teams that go to the playoffs rather than like the only top 3 in each group that go through from EMEA. So if you come bottom 2 in these groups, you actually get completely knocked down. So still, if top 4 is good enough, and of course these groups are very stacked, so I'm happy to see it. OpTic Gaming now officially a thing here in Group B, with Sentinels being the number 1 seed, but these are the matches for this upcoming week. So these start, I believe, tonight. I couldn't really get a good screenshot on VLR.GG or on the actual schedule themselves, because the time zones weren't ideal, so this is how things look anyway. It starts at my time. I'm pretty sure in Europe, this is the European ones, starts at 3 p.m. at GMT, so you guys can work out from where that is for you guys, and in the North American side, it starts at 9 p.m. GMT 4 p.m. Eastern. So 6 games over the coming 3 days. Team Liquid versus Gambit, G2 Fnatic. Like, just some really exciting series here to kick us off, especially the day one. Like, Team Liquid Gambit to kick things off. Doesn't really get too much better than that. And in the North American side, it looks as follows. So Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. Great game to start, really. Then version 1 versus the Knights, Sentinels, NRG, and of course the new OpTic team. They play Rise on the Sunday, but very much intriguing all your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting a like button tells the YouTube gods this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.